You ever have one of those days, you spend hours trying to learn something new, a skill, a piece of software, maybe even just a really complex idea, and by the end of it, you feel completely fried, even though you've been sitting down all day? Well, in this explainer, we're going to get into the fascinating reason why getting smarter can feel so darn exhausting.
Right? It's a question we've all probably wondered about. You're fired up, you're ready to learn, but then this wave of mental fatigue just hits you. It almost feels like you're being punished for trying to improve. But what if that feeling of exhaustion isn't a sign that you're failing? What if it's actually a sign that you're succeeding? Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, we need to start with our brain's factory settings. I mean, to understand why learning is so hard, we first have to appreciate why not learning is just so easy. And it all boils down to our brain's absolute love of being on autopilot. Just think about your morning routine. Tying your shoes, making coffee, the commute to work. You don't really think about any of it, do you? It just happens. That is your brain on autopilot. It's an incredible energy-saving feature that uses pre-built pathways for anything it's done 1,000 times before. It's super fast, super efficient, and takes almost zero effort. And this is where you see the huge difference. On one side, you have that comfortable, low-energy autopilot brain. But the second you decide to learn something new, you're consciously switching that system off. You're forcing your brain into upgrade mode, which is the exact opposite. It's slow, it's difficult, it's unfamiliar, and it absolutely devours cognitive energy. That's where that feeling of exhaustion comes from. And this brings us to the most important idea in this entire explainer. It's time to completely flip the script on how we think about mental burnout. We need to stop seeing it as a problem to fix and start seeing it as a process to understand. And there it is. That's the big secret. That mental drain you feel when you're deep in a learning session, that's not a system error. It's not a sign you're weak or that you just aren't smart enough. No, it is the main feature of your brain installing a software update. It is literally the feeling of growth in real time. Think about it like this. When you have a great workout at the gym, your muscles burn, right? That's the feeling of those muscle fibers breaking down so they can rebuild stronger. Well, mental fatigue is the exact same thing, but for your brain. It's the physical sensation of your mind forging new connections and building a better, stronger architecture. So how does this rewiring actually happen? What's going on under the hood when your brain is in the middle of one of these upgrades? Well, it really comes down to three key energy-hungry processes. First, your brain starts thinking about the future. The moment you learn something new, your brain doesn't just file it away. It starts running simulations. It's asking, okay, how can I use this? What does this change? What new doors does this open up? This is why you can be sitting perfectly still but feel mentally busy. Your mind is off exploring dozens of possible futures with this new piece of the puzzle. Next comes the real heavy lifting, deeper processing. This isn't just about memorizing a new fact. It's about integrating it. Imagine all your current knowledge is a massive spider web. Your brain is now working to carefully weave this new information into that web, connecting it to all the other threads. It makes the whole structure stronger, but wow, all that weaving is exhausting. And finally, your brain gets to work with structured thinking. See, it's not enough to just connect a new idea. Your brain wants to build a proper home for it. It starts creating new mental models, new frameworks, new filing systems to organize everything logically. You're basically doing cognitive construction work. And just like building a house, it takes some serious effort. So here's the entire journey laid out. You start off cruising on autopilot. Then you hit a new, challenging idea. And then comes step 3, the hard part. That's the process and simulate zone. That's where the friction is, where all that fatigue lives. But if you push through it, you get to step 4. You form a brand new neural pathway. And that means the next time you encounter that idea, it's just a little bit easier. You're actually building your next autopilot. Okay, so what do we do with all of this information? How should this change how we think about learning and growing? It really comes down to one powerful idea. We have to learn to embrace the friction. This is why it all matters. The next time you feel that mental fog roll in, don't look at it as a stop sign. See it for what it is, a progress bar. Remind yourself that growing your mind isn't a passive download. It's an active, demanding workout. That feeling of being mentally overwhelmed is literally the sound of progress. So instead of backing away from that discomfort, lean into it. That's where the real growth is happening. This completely reframes the whole experience, doesn't it? That fatigue isn't the price you pay for getting smarter, it is the feeling of getting smarter. So the only real question left is, knowing that the friction is the feature, what cognitive upgrade will you embrace next?